A police blitz to enhance safety in the downtown core.
Hello guys, Calgary Police Service. We detain you all for loitering.
But some vulnerable people getting tickets say this doesn't make sense.
$220, and I only get $16.88 a month.
Plus, Elections Alberta says it needs more money to keep up with citizen-led petitions.
And now the UCP is freaking out. They're deliberately underfunding Elections Alberta so that these things can't continue.
MLA recall petition organizers fear all their hard work will be tossed aside.
We want to stand up for our kids. It's the right thing to do.
And take your kid to work day at the hospital.
It's really inspiring to see what they do here.
Makes me want to be a doctor.
Hands-on in a simulated operating room to expose more kids to healthcare jobs.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Tara Nelson.
Hello and thank you for joining us. Calgary police are cracking down on crime in the core with Operation Order. If you were downtown today, you would have seen more than 100 officers patrolling streets, alleyways, and C-train platforms. Police say more resources will lead to more boots on the ground, and that will enhance public safety. Tyson Fedor is outside the Central Library tonight. And Tyson, this was a big operation. Teams of officers targeting hotspots for crime and disorder.
Tara, was most certainly a blitz, to say the least. Officers would go out in groups of 3 to 5, patrolling the downtown. They would meet with people, engage with them, ask them if they needed help or any support services. Tickets were even written and arrests were also made today. And the top brass of Calgary police are saying that this will continue, this type of enforcement, in the coming months, and want all Calgarians to know that it is safe to be in the downtown core. It's a quick debrief, and then officers are off on foot and by patrol car seeking any public disorder or criminal activity.
If people are committing criminal behaviors or people are breaking the law, we will arrest them.
Operations Order connects people with social service supports, enforces bylaws and laws related to drug use, possession, trafficking, and violent offenses.
This isn't a one and done. This just isn't us showing up and then walking away and then not coming back for months and months later.
One man was stopped on Stephen Avenue, where police asked if he needed any help and to connect him with shelter supports. Then 3 men were seen smoking what police believe were illegal drugs in this back alley off Stephen Ave.
We came upon these gentlemen that were, it appeared that they were smoking from some sort of glass pipe. We detained them for the purpose of giving them a summons.
One of those men is known to police, but he tells CTV News he is trying to get on the right track.
Every night is hell, man. I don't sleep because it's so cold. I just want to change my life back around and have my daughter in my life again.
Grant Robinson has been taking shelter at the Mustard Seed after living on the streets for 2 years. He says he was issued a $220 ticket for allegedly tossing a cigarette butt onto the road.
This is going to stop me from probably another month because I have to pay it. Homeless people, if you don't house them right away, they're going to get worse. They're going to start selling drugs. They're going to start stabbing people.
But he adds that housing is a key factor as why social disorder is so high.
Safety is primary concern, and we, operations like today is part of that solution, along with housing and programming and placemaking.
Police also detained 3 people for loitering at the City Hall platform.
Yes, I'd like to ask you if I can go.
It led to the arrests of 2 men on outstanding warrants.
Oh, what are y'all doing? Just getting cash? Cash grab? Get us home. You're just gonna be keeping us off.
This crackdown comes as disorder calls since 2023 in the core have risen. Between January and September of this year, there were more than 13,000 calls for help. The same can be said for calls on violence. Those are also up from last year. Now, late this afternoon, police provided a bit of an update in regards to what we saw here throughout the day since 8 a.m. when police were on scene and on foot downtown. There were more than 20 people arrested. 20 charges were also laid. 164 calls for service this today, and police are expecting to remain here throughout the next couple of hours on scene. Several weapons also seized down here, and I can tell you, Tara, that there are about 180 people with outstanding warrants.
Okay, Tyson Fedor in the core tonight. Tyson, thank you. The trial for a man accused of drugging, kidnapping, and sexually assaulting 7 women on a rural property east of Calgary has been delayed again. Court heard Richard Mantha may have suffered another stroke. It is the latest setback in the trial that began nearly 2 years ago. As Terry Fikowski reports, the repeated delays are leaving victim advocates frustrated as they await justice.
Nearing 2 years since the trial began for accused serial rapist Richard Mantha, another delay in the case. Closing arguments were set for Wednesday, but court heard the 61-year-old was in a COVID-19 isolation unit and may have suffered a second stroke.
They just want this over. They want it closed. Ultimately, they want justice.
Her Victory works with women in the sex trade and is supporting 5 of Mantha's 7 alleged victims. One has since passed away. He has pleaded not guilty to 20 charges, including kidnapping, sexual assault with a weapon, and administering a noxious substance, with most allegedly happening on a property east of Calgary.
Obviously, we're highly disappointed in the outcome of, again, yet another delay.
A shared sentiment by the trial judge. We can't have him not here, said Justice Judith Schreier Wednesday. It's unspeakable disappointment, frustration. This latest setback has joined a series of delays that have plagued the case since it first started in January of 2024. His lawyers initially tried and failed to split the trial into separate cases, and then just 7 days in, Mantha fired his defense team. There was a delay when he switched his trial from French to English. Then he suffered a stroke, causing a major delay. And another months later when he fired his lawyers again. Despite his reduced verbal skills, this past January he was deemed fit to stand trial, which resumed in May. But when it comes to health issues, this expert says a judge's hands are tied.
They can't say, well, it doesn't matter, you're not here and you're not even capable of presenting, so we're going to go ahead and decide the case. The court would not do that. That would be an instant appealable kind of situation.
Jackie Meyer hopes the case will come to a close soon, but worries the drawn-out process will prevent other victims of sexual assault from coming forward.
Hoping that there will be justice that's served at the end of the day, and this can just encourage other victims to come forward in similar situations.
Terry Fikowski, CTV News, Calgary.
The case will return to court November 14th to set a new date for final arguments. Another group of Alberta public workers says they're ready to strike if a new collective agreement cannot be reached. More than 16,000 healthcare workers, the majority licensed practical nurses and healthcare aides, have been looking for a new deal since March of 2024. As Tim Brooke reports, it appears another showdown with the province is brewing.
More labor problems in Alberta. Those who work alongside and sometimes fill in for registered nurses have voted overwhelmingly in favor of a strike if they do not reach a deal on a new collective agreement.
Their withdrawal of services would impact the healthcare system altogether and the ability of Albertans to receive the care that they need.
Bargaining started in March of 2024 and broke down this April. A strike could now happen as soon as mid-November.
We have repeatedly tried to negotiate with them and for them to recognize the importance of the work that our members do. Our members have had enough of the disrespect.
Compensation and working conditions are top of mind, just like they were during the teacher strike. The AUPE says LPNs are doing 84% of what registered nurses do, and so should be paid 84% of an RN salary. The province says that's unrealistic.
We're very far apart if you look at those numbers. Like, we need to get into some form of a landing zone to get a deal. That's not something you've seen across the country, increases like that. So, unfortunate, but here we are, and we'll continue to bargain.
When teachers were ordered back to work last week, talk of a province-wide general strike picked up. But one labor expert says so far it's been only that. Talk, something working in the government's favor.
The message they're taking from this is that they can push public sector workers around and make them do what they want because they have the power of the government. The lack of a very quick response is an indication to me that the labor movement wasn't quite as prepared as they needed to be.
And Tim joins us now. Tim, AUPE health workers voted 98% in favor of a strike.
Yes, but keep in mind, Tara, that will not happen unless a deal with AHS cannot be reached. Now, the good news here, both of the sides scheduled to return to the bargaining table tomorrow, this time with a mediator. If that doesn't help, well, the earliest this union can serve a strike notice to AHS, a 72-hour strike notice to AHS, is November 17th.
Okay, Tim, thank you. A fight is brewing over funding for Elections Alberta. Critics say a shortfall is threatening democratic rights as voters try to launch recall petitions and other citizen-led initiative campaigns. Mark Villani reports on the growing tension between grassroots movements and the province.
Workers at Elections Alberta are expected to be busier than usual in the coming months, counting signatures for recall campaigns aimed at ousting UCP MLAs Dimitrios Nicolaides and Angela Pitt. The only problem, they might not have the funds to do it.
For them to say that there's no money available to Elections Alberta is stopping them from being able to do their legal obligation to Albertans.
Alberta's chief electoral officer asked for over $13 million to deal with recalls and referendums, but slightly less than $1.5 million was awarded by a UCP-led committee. That's enough to verify more than 450,000 signatures from the Forever Canadian campaign designed to counter an Alberta independence vote, but not enough for other petitions. Critics say the shortfall threatens democracy.
And it's really scary to know that you have a government that is not operating in our best interests.
If you don't give them enough resources to properly stage by-elections, referenda, and recalls, then we will be questioning how well was it done.
Elections Alberta says if it was unable to complete its verification process for any petition in the future, that would put us in breach of legislation. We will continue to work with the standing committee to secure the funding we need so that we can avoid that situation. Justice Minister Mickey Amory says more money could come, but only once formal petitions are submitted.
We know that the CEO has been asking for money in anticipation of future recall petitions, and we think that's fine, but the opportunity should arise when those petitions actually come forward.
Alberta's recall legislation was first announced under former Premier Jason Kenney back in 2021. Some critics say the UCP never imagined it could be used like this.
And now the UCP is freaking out because they are in what the internet calls the find out phase. They want these petitions to fail because these are petitions against this government.
As for grassroots organizers, they're not giving up anytime soon.
We want to show that this is not what we want. We want to stand up for our kids. It's the right thing to do.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
Alberta Justice says it did not see a need to approve funding for the verification of any other petitions at this time. The UCP-led standing committee will meet again on December 5th to address future budget requests. A coalition of coastal First Nations and BC's Premier are demanding Ottawa's oil tanker ban be upheld. It's a wrench in the Alberta government's hope for another oil pipeline project to the Pacific Ocean. The Smith government wants that ban lifted, but as Stephanie Thomas reports, such a project already faces many other challenges.
We want this tanker ban to stay in place.
Coastal First Nations Great Bear Initiative and other Indigenous leaders signed a declaration to protect British Columbia's North Coast.
We cannot afford to let this happen.
A moratorium on oil tanker traffic in BC has been in place since 2019, a few years after the Northern Gateway project to connect Alberta bitumen to Kitimat failed. BC Premier David Eby says oil tanker traffic should never resume and opposes renewed interest in a pipeline from northern Alberta to the coast.
This declaration is not a reaction to Alberta.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith doesn't see it that way, and in a statement said a single parochial premier cannot block the export of the most valuable asset of 5 million Albertans. A later statement removed that line, but Smith maintained there needs to be support from Ottawa, a credible proponent, as well as extensive First Nation engagement and co-ownership.
We absolutely need better market access for our bitumen. It's a huge opportunity to grow wealth from the country. We know how to do it, but there's no easy path right now.
Alberta is leading a working group with 3 major pipeline companies, Enbridge, Trans Mountain, and Southbow, to explore a route to northern BC. All 3 declined to comment or did not reply to our requests. Energy experts say if the tanker ban were to be lifted, First Nations leaders may fight it in court. And there are environmental concerns unique to the rugged fjords near Kitimat.
Landslide can trigger a hazards cascade. It can trigger a big wave in that fjord or in that lake. That wave can propagate out of the fjord, impacting whatever infrastructure, whether it's villages or ships or pipelines along the coast, etc.
Smith has said she expects Prime Minister Mark Carney to announce changes to the tanker ban by Grey Cup Sunday on November 16th. Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
Smith also said her government would apply for a pipeline at the major projects office soon after.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
A tribute to veterans now adorns one Calgary mall. This crosswalk at North Hill Centre is painted with red and white stripes to mark Remembrance Day. The tribute includes the silhouette of a soldier and the motto, "Lest we forget." On November 11th, CTV Calgary will bring you the Remembrance Day service from the Hangar Flight Museum. You can find that on TV and online beginning at 10:30 a.m. Let's check in with Danielle now. It was a very crisp November day out there today.
Yeah, gloomy. We had a couple snowflakes. We had some rainfall. It was all light in nature. We still have the chance of rainfall for the next few hours. And surprisingly, we're still sitting at our daytime high, 4 degrees at the airport. The winds are relatively calm right now, but over these next 24 hours, they will certainly pick up. A windy day tomorrow, but a brighter day and a warmer day. We should get into the double digits, and we likely won't have to deal with wind chill in the morning. After tomorrow, though, another system rolls in and more mixed precipitation is on the way. We'll talk about that just ahead, Tara.
Thank you, Danielle. A massive investigation is underway after a cargo plane crashes in Kentucky. The NTSB says an engine fell off. They hope they will also learn more from the black boxes. That crash site is being called apocalyptic. And the continuously rising cost of food, where you'll keep seeing it and how some Calgarians are stretching their dollars. Investigators say the engine of a UPS plane detached from the wing before a deadly crash in Kentucky last night. The video we're going to show you is shocking. The cargo plane crashes shortly after takeoff, leaving a fiery trail of destruction. Multiple camera angles captured the massive fireball at the airport in Louisville. Kentucky's governor says at least 12 people were killed, including 3 crew members, with the number of victims expected to rise. A team of investigators has recovered the aircraft's black boxes. The U.S. Supreme Court is weighing in on one of the most economically significant cases in decades, with huge implications for Canada. At issue, whether President Donald Trump's sweeping emergency tariffs are actually legal. CTV's Joy Malbon reports.
The Handmaid's Tale protesters are back, demonstrating against Donald Trump's tariffs and use of presidential power. The president has slapped tariffs on more than 90 nations, including Canada, by declaring a national economic emergency. The justices heard arguments whether Trump's use of the 1977 law without congressional approval is even legal.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
It's the president's signature tool to strike new trade deals, claiming it addresses trade deficits and protects manufacturing.
President Trump has negotiated agreements worth trillions of dollars with major trading partners. Unwinding those agreements, he warns, would expose us to ruthless trade retaliation.
It's a congressional power, not a presidential power to tax. And you want to say tariffs are not taxes, but that's exactly what they are.
Even some conservative justices seemed skeptical.
My question is, has there ever been another instance in which a statute has used that language to confer the power?
Only President Trump has. Several states and small businesses challenged his tariffs, and lower courts agreed he's overstepped his authority.
They're gloating all over all the billions of dollars that they're collecting. They think it's great. What they don't say is they're collecting it from American businesses.
Trump's tariffs have cost Canada billions of dollars in lost business, straining relations with the U.S. and with trade talks stalled over an Ontario anti-tariff ad.
Such trade barriers hurt every American worker.
This is like somebody's driving the train. We're kind of in the back cars, and we don't control its speed, and we don't control its destination.
President Trump posted this case as life or death for America, with his most significant economic policy at stake. The court's expected to rule swiftly within weeks or months. Joy Malbon, CTV News, Washington.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
Bring Danielle back in. Now, it tried to snow out there. I saw some flakes earlier.
It tried to give it a go. There were a couple snowflakes, there were a couple raindrops, but all you know, pretty weak, less intense, short-lived. We should see a little more of this on Friday and likely a little heavier. But tomorrow we get a break from it all. All right, 5 degrees is the temperature in Lethbridge and Milk River, 7 in through Brooks and Medicine Hat, 6 in Drumheller, and just 4 in Calgary. We're below freezing in Banff. So temperatures, yeah, that's pretty much where we should be for this time of year. We're going to have the winds pick up in many communities tonight, Calgary included, and then will intensify tomorrow. So while we had quiet in the south, quiet winds, no gusts registering at all in southern Alberta today, other than Drumheller at 33. We're going to pick up to 40, even 50 in Calgary tomorrow, and then south of Calgary, Pincher Creek, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, 60 to 70 kilometer per hour gusts tomorrow. This is all out of the west, and this will likely start to kick in tonight, so you may hear that in bed tonight, and that will start to increase the temperature. So we'll get into the double digits in the city for tomorrow. Here's a look at this mixed precipitation, and at this time of year, when a system rolls in and we have temperatures just above the freezing mark, at the freezing mark and below, it is hard to forecast where exactly we get what type of precipitation. So you can see there's snow, there's rain, and there was even freezing rain with this system. We saw a little bit of that activity in Calgary as well. We have the potential for raindrops up until about, as you can see here, 2 in the morning, and then that moves its way out. It should be east of the QE2 for the early morning hours tomorrow, and then all of southern Alberta, just a mix of sun and cloud, but again on the windy side tomorrow. This is the next system that rolls in on Friday. Friday, once again, we have a bunch of temperatures, huge temperature profile with this one. So snowfall, freezing rain, and rainfall, all possible in all communities in southern Alberta. Now, again, short-lived in the morning hours, but then it does pick up, and likely switching over to mainly snowfall for Calgary later in the day on Friday as the system drags in cooler air. All right, so tomorrow, 12 degrees. That's a toasty 12, especially considering we're in early November, but it will be windy, 40, 50 kilometer per hour gusts with a mix of sun and cloud. And then by Friday, kicking off with mixed precipitation, and then kicking back in Friday afternoon, just a high of 4. So very similar to today, but it might be a little heavier for Friday. Then we get back to nice weather for Saturday and Sunday, stable and warmer, 7 degrees for Saturday, 13 for Sunday. That's your Action Furnace 5-day forecast.
New data from Statistics Canada shows food prices continue to rise. It's forcing some Calgarians to make tough choices and even look for help. Jacqueline Wilson explains.
Canadians paid 4% more for groceries in September compared to a year ago. That's according to Statistics Canada, and many Calgarians are noticing the increase.
Outrageous. It's truly outrageous.
The biggest price hike was for roast and ground coffee at 41%, followed by fresh or frozen ground beef at 17.4% and nuts and seeds at 15.7%.
With beef is a bit of a hangover from extreme weather a couple of years ago in the Canadian West and in the Midwest of the U.S., where we had very dry weather in the summer, low snow carryover in the winter, so there was low moisture. And so there were high grain prices, lower availability, less grass, less hay, and farmers shrunk their cow herds a little bit.
As for nuts, seeds, and coffee, they've experienced extreme weather and labor issues. Tariffs have also made an impact on September coffee prices.
Some of our smaller roasters are buying from brokers in the U.S., and during the summer when we had retaliatory tariffs on, those tariffs included coffee.
Grocery prices have been rising steadily since April 2024, and it's spurring many Calgarians to search for deals.
We can't afford food anymore. I look in every flyer for Safeway, Co-op, Save on Foods, No Frills. I look for the best deal.
Meanwhile, rising food costs have increased demand for the Salvation Army's food hamper program in Forest Lawn.
Food insecurity is a growing concern in Calgary. Just looking at how the rising cost and inflation, it has become a struggle for Calgarians to meet their basic needs like food. It is a huge concern. We see more than 1,000 people walking through our doors every single month because they cannot afford food even if they're working.
With many of the same inflationary conditions remaining in place, those who track food costs expect the upward pressure on prices will only continue. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
And to donate to the Salvation Army's programs, you can head to his website, salvationarmy.ca. A new affordable housing project broke ground today in southwest Calgary. The development in the community of Curry will be made up of 62 a 62-unit apartment building and a 10-unit townhouse complex. The apartments will be a mix of bachelor, 1- and 2-bedroom units. It was made possible through the Federal Lands Initiative and the city's Housing Incentive Program. The builder, Onward Homes, says it's important to provide entry-level homes to help with the housing crisis.
The rent that we'll be charging for a tenant in the future will be just about 50% of what the market is. So we're really giving a chance to Calgarians that would not be able to enter the market and give them a chance to have a place that is safe, that they can call home.
The project is expected to be ready in about 16 months. First Air Canada, now WestJet flight attendants say they also do not get paid for all the hours worked. Where this labor dispute is going and what you need to know if you have an upcoming flight. And later, the safety of the COVID-19 vaccine for children is backed up by a massive study of millions of kids. We have the details. Cooler weather has more Albertans thinking about a hot vacation, but some are also paying close attention as bargaining continues between WestJet and its flight attendants. Air Canada flight attendants went on strike this summer after negotiations crumbled, resulting in major headaches and costs still impacting some travelers. Alicia Fieldberg reports.
Lone WestJet? Now you're part of the Ultra Extra Basic Club.
It looks like a WestJet advertisement, but this video pokes fun at the airline's new non-reclining seats and takes aim at working conditions for flight attendants. With its contract set to expire December 31st, the flight attendants union wants the public to know what's at stake.
This message is about respect. It's about fair pay.
Flight attendants want to be paid for their work and their time. Right now, they're only compensated for time the plane is in the air, often doing hours of unpaid work each day.
Flight attendants at WestJet are still working about 35 hours every month unpaid. That means, especially for the new flight attendants, often when you factor in those unpaid hours, they're not even making minimum wage.
The federal NDP has introduced a bill to end unpaid work by flight attendants, but experts say the clock is ticking if WestJet and the union don't reach a deal.
Which one of these will reach home plate before the other? Whether we go on a strike with flight attendants at WestJet or does the legislation, get passed? WestJet, spring break, iffy.
The same issue sparked an Air Canada flight attendant strike in August, halting flights for 3.5 days until the federal government ordered them back to work, with arbitrators still working out the contract. Airlines are supposed to compensate those impacted travelers, but months later, some are still waiting.
Air Canada has not been fulfilling its obligations to passengers, and it is trying to just make it very difficult for passengers to recover. That's reprehensible.
It's on some Calgarians' minds as they consider booking flights.
Usually the best ones are like Air Canada, WestJet, but of course with the strike, I just have all this doubts.
Passenger advocates say there are no quick fixes to protect your plans or money, but stronger rules and stricter enforcement could help.
There's no insurance for the airlines flouting the law. The only way is, in my view, is to speak to your federal members of parliament and tell them you want proper passenger protection.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Calgary.
In a statement, WestJet tells CTV News that it's disheartening to see the CUPE campaign. It says WestJet cabin personnel work under terms negotiated in bargaining, and it wants a meaningful new collective agreement. You need good eyes and steady hands to perform laparoscopic surgery. You also, of course, need a medical license, but that could be in the future for these teenagers. Exploring the field of healthcare at Rocky View Hospital today. Students got a feel for what it's like working in healthcare today at Rocky View General Hospital. Take Our Kids to Work Day allowed young people the chance to perform laparoscopic surgery and experience a simulated operating room. While hands-on experience means a lot, a newfound appreciation for their relatives' jobs might mean even more. Tyler Barrow explains.
Bit closer together so that she'll have a nicer scar.
It's something veteran nurse Kyla Black, who works at Rocky View General Hospital, knows well.
I've always felt like I'm in the right place doing the right work and feel passionate about my nursing background.
On Take Your Kid to Work Day, she has brought in her 16-year-old niece, hoping to inspire her to follow in her footsteps.
I've definitely shown interest in being a nurse before, and being here definitely helps.
Jordanson is one of approximately 30 youth taking part in the event at Rocky View General Hospital. Family relatives are taken through 6 different stations, which includes performing on a mannequin in a simulated operating room. and doing laparoscopic surgery, all while learning about the different careers in the field.
The neat thing is that there's a lot of kids that maybe weren't interested in healthcare and now are strongly considering that as a career.
Just ask clinical nurse Natalie Marshall. She brought her 15-year-old son last year who is now really interested in physiotherapy.
He's just doing his CPR first aid course that he's just finishing up in school, and so it kind of opened a whole avenue of something that he didn't know he was actually looking for.
Some of these students will possibly find their way back to Rocky View General Hospital for work one day, but what they will take away is an appreciation for what their family members do.
There's a lot more than what meets the eye, because there's so many things that people need to study.
Seeing what she does every day, I guess I'm surprised because I never knew she did all this kind of stuff every day.
Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
The Students' Commission of Canada, which helps organize Take Our Kids to Work Day events, says the day also provides you some experience to put on a resume and connects them with potential future employers. Maybe you two have some budding journalists in your house. May or maybe not.
You already got careers. So
yeah, they're further along. Well, replacing your tech, like your phones, your laptops, your iPads, that's not cheap. Luckily, this guy has a piece of technology that just won't give out. That's actually the sound that his laptop makes every time he opens it.
No.
I think it wants to die, but it just won't die.
Could it not have...
Yeah, he's got a 2009 laptop, and every time he turns it on, this is the sound that it makes.
Could he just not have fingernails on scratching on
That's exactly. Like, you're not going to the library with your laptop.
He's not phased at all.
No, he's been hearing it since probably 2009, so he's used to it now. Well, speaking of antiques, enthusiasts of the penny farthing went for a ride recently through a park in Prague. The vintage bicycle has, of course, one very large front wheel and one very small rear wheel. They are very tricky to ride, as you can imagine. This is not just like riding a bike. So these guys wearing their best period chic, 13 of them showing off their skills and riding in formation, all synchronized to music. They've been doing this event in Prague every year since 1868.
Wow. I'd topple over for sure.
That's cool. This would take a lot of practice. You are not just climbing on one of these and cycling away.
Yeah, because I don't understand when you stop, how do you get off?
A flying leap. You do a flying leap. Yeah. Okay. Well, finally, a very special birthday celebration.
Happy birthday to Cicada.
This little girl is obsessed with bugs. Her favorite is the cicada. She dressed up as her little friend to celebrate its first birthday, though her mom says the cicada isn't actually alive anymore. But she doesn't even care. She doesn't even care. It's got a tiny little cake. She dressed up like a cicada. She's singing it a song. That's how much she likes bugs.
I wonder what she'll think about this when she sees this video when she's, 15.
Well, she'll be a budding entomologist by that time. She'll be like, see, I knew since I was a kid what I wanted to do.
Right, it's a bug's life.
Yeah, that's right. Still to come, Air Canada is boosting flights as it works to bounce back from a costly strike last summer. Details on how much the stoppage actually affected the airline's bottom line.
Your Skywatch weather camera. Today, we've had some snowflakes, we've had some rainfall. Not intense, just some isolated pockets of it, and very short-lived. This will return on Friday, but for tomorrow, and even kicking in tonight as the rain starts to taper off because there's still isolated showers possible until about 2 a.m. Then the winds are going to pick up. So it means a very different day for tomorrow. 4 degrees is the daytime high and the current temperature. We've just been holding strong at 4 for hours and hours in the city. Just below the freezing mark in Banff, and we're at 5 in Lethbridge, 7 in Medicine Hat. Here's a look at the system right now that will really provide us isolated pockets of showers up until about 2 in the morning. morning, and then it's out of the way. But as it moves out of the way, the winds will pick up to 40, even 50 kilometers per hour. They should be a little lighter in the morning and then kick up in the afternoon, but they may be heavy at times or strong at times tonight while we're sleeping. But that's why we will not be dealing with wind chill, because this will be wind out of the west. That will get our temperature up to +2 by 8 a.m. and then as warm as 12 in the afternoon. That's your 24-hour forecast, brought to you by Action Furnace. Fixed right or it's free. Let's take a little look around. Fernie looking at showers and 7 for tomorrow. Kelowna will be at 12 with some cloud cover. And central Alberta dealing with the core part of the system, so snowfall, Slave Lake down to Edmonton. Red Deer, partly cloudy skies. And then the south end, we're looking at double-digit temperatures for Drumheller, at teens for High River. Lethbridge looking at 13, Medicine Hat 14. Crow's Nest Pass, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Pincher Creek, gusts 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. Tara?
Thank you, Danielle. Teams of police officers and social agencies have swept through downtown. Operation Order was aimed at improving public safety by curbing disorder. Several arrests were made and tickets issued. Richard Mantha's trial has once again been delayed because of illness. He is in a COVID-19 isolation unit, may have had another stroke. The 61-year-old is accused of kidnapping, drugging, and sexually assaulting women in Calgary's sex trade. And 98% of Alberta nursing care workers have voted in favor of a strike if a new deal cannot be reached with the province. Their union represents more than 16,000 members. Health experts have long said COVID-19 infections pose a much higher risk to children, health risk, than the vaccine against the virus. Now a major new study is adding support for that conclusion. So researchers at several UK universities analyzed the health records of nearly 14 million children age 18 and under between 2020 and 2022. 3.9 million were diagnosed with COVID, while 3.4 million got a shot of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Comparing the two groups, it's estimated infections led to 2.24 more cases of heart inflammation or other rare complications per 100,000 kids each 6 months. That's compared to vaccinations, which led to an estimated 0.85 additional cases per 100,000. The figures were published in the Lancet Child and Adolescent Health Medical Journal. The strike by Air Canada's flight attendants over the summer has hit the company's bottom line. BNN Bloomberg's Marla Fernandez has more on that.
Air Canada is reporting a 5% drop in revenue in its latest quarter. When 10,000 flight attendants went on strike in August, the airline had to cancel 3,000 flights. It cost the carrier $375 million. Just reimbursing customers came to $90 million. In an effort to trim costs, the airline recently slashed 400 management jobs. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar down a fraction to 70.88. West Texas Intermediate crude down almost $1 to 59.60. Western Canadian Select also down to 49.19. And the TSX gained 325 points today to push back over 30,100. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
A search and rescue squad on Vancouver Island is going all in on drones. The team is using the technology to make difficult rescues a little easier, particularly at night. Just a couple of weeks ago, a drone was used to find a lost hiker and guide the team out before nightfall. It's equipped with a thermal camera, night vision, and a spotlight that can be used during nighttime searches.
We jumped in with 2 feet and started building the biggest, most robust drone program we could come up with. And it's proved to be absolutely excellent.
The team is now looking at a drone that can carry cargo like first aid equipment during missions. Cavalry FC is heading back to the North Star Cup final. Today was their final practice at home before heading to Ottawa to try to repeat as league champs. Glenn has that story for us next.
We will remember. Watch live coverage of Calgary's Remembrance Day ceremony with Tara Nelson, November 11th at 10:30 a.m. on CTV, streaming through the CTV News app and at ctvnewscalgary.ca.
Not bad for a guy wearing a dress shirt and chinos. That's Prince William, who stopped by the beach for a game of volleyball while in Brazil. He was greeted by dozens of people watching as he served it up on the sand. Prince William is in Rio this week holding an awards ceremony for his environmental grant organization, Earthshot. Cavalry FC is going for their second straight North Star Cup. Glenn is back with us, and Glenn, that was an impressive performance by Cavalry over the weekend.
Tara, Cavalry took down Forge FC in the preliminary final. Now to the final step. They face Ottawa in the league final on Sunday. Cavalry FC had their final practice in Calgary before heading to Ottawa and a chance to win back-to-back championships. Cavalry got to the final after an impressive 1-0 victory over their arch-rivals Forge FC in the preliminary final.
Kinija Elva and the Cavs trying to end Forge's season again. Warshevsky, the little chip, and finds the side netting.
Forward Kinija Elva assisted on Tobias Warshevsky's game winner, and he says all the hard work paid off.
To do it in Forge, one of our biggest rivals, it meant a lot to us. We know it was going to be tough. It wasn't going to be an easy game, but we showed how good we could be defensively by not getting no goals against, and we're just happy to be moving on.
Cavalry didn't have a lot of success against Ottawa during the regular season. Ottawa won 3 of the 4 games, and the other one ended in a draw. The good news, that was the regular season. The playoffs are a whole new ballgame.
You know, we won't shy away from the fact that Ottawa have been good all season, and you know, we certainly weren't able to find ways to beat them during the regular season, but it's a final. It all comes down to one game, so it's a bit of a different beast. The reality is it's just like any other game where we're going to focus fully on how do we beat them and how do we stop their strengths.
Cavalry's going to the league final for the 4th time in team history, and this will be their 3rd straight appearance. Last year they won their first ever North Star Cup. Ottawa's been to the finals only once. That was back in 2022 when they lost to Forge. Experience may be a big factor in this match.
The experience matters in these moments because you can get over-aroused. Like, we've gone to finals and lost them, and you can get over-aroused with it. You can overcommit to your principles. You've got to be able to manage the game in its 15-minute segments, and I think that's what we've been good at, and that's what we've had to learn the hard way. But we're certainly relishing another final.
Kickoff for Sunday's game, 3 o'clock Mountain Time. Flames return to the ice tonight as they take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's a big game as Nazem Kadri plays his 1,000th NHL game. And 3 Calgary Stampeders have been voted to the All-CFL team. Making the grade are running back Dedrick Mills, offensive lineman Jalen Hutchings, and punter Mark Vassett.
Good stuff. Thank you, Glenn. All right, final peek at the weather goes to Danielle.
All right, so tomorrow, brighter, warmer, windier. That's all you need.
2 out of 3. Okay.
And no wind chill. So a lot of W's there. Yeah, gusting out of the west at 40, maybe even 50 kilometers per hour tomorrow in the city, and much gustier south of the city. 12 degrees is our high, though. And just 2 at 8 a.m., so a warmer day overall. Mixed precipitation will be back for Friday. Friday will be much like today, just maybe a little heavier. 4 degrees will be our high by then. And we get back into the teens, believe it or not, for Sunday and Monday of next week. Okay, weather window brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style. Budget Alberta's climate, and we were saying yesterday that last night was a good night to see the supermoon, also known as the beaver moon. And Reinhold DeRosa sent this one in, and this is the coolest shot. So
look at that shot.
Beautiful.
Wow.
We'll leave you with that one.
What camera did Reinhold have to use?
I don't know. He has a pretty good one, it looks like.
That is fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for your company tonight. We hope that you have a terrific evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow.